This, believe it or not, is Iran. It's not quite what I'd expected, but then it's always been a misunderstood place. My name's Tom. I've made a career out of travelling and exploring new places. I'm here to find the source of Iran's longest river, the Karun. For the next month, I'm going to be following the Karun all the way down to its mouth near the Persian Gulf. But right now, I just need to find a place to sleep. Not easy in a complete whiteout. I'm not alone up here in the Zagros Mountains. My friend Leon has been wanting to visit Iran for a while, so he's agreed to join me for this trip. Iran isn't exactly on the tourist trail. We're both pretty well travelled, but I'm still expecting this to be a real journey into the unknown. Even so, this first day is proving far more challenging than we could have imagined.
Leon just mentioned he can hear plenty of wolf noises outside. Are you being serious about that?
Yeah.
How close are they?
It's very hard to tell. Closer than I'd like.
Closer than he'd like? What do you suggest we do?
I get back in the tent waiting for this.
He suggests he gets back in the tent and stops arsing around outside. So what did you hear out there?
I heard a few wolves.
And how did the wolves sound?
Kind of howly and barky. But very, very hard to tell how close anything is. I think they're probably just up in the mountains somewhere.
Let's fucking hope so.
Bit of a baptism of fire, wasn't it? Hike up a stream into the mountains, sleep in a blizzard, get really cold, have some wolves come along.
The whole point of following a river is to experience a country, and I think it's fair to say we've experienced one side of Iran in the last 12 hours.
Definitely. This is an Iran that I didn't know existed.
Jesus. So yeah, this is one end of the river, basically. Let's see how it compares to the other end.
We've only got a month-long visa to get down to the mouth of the river at the Persian Gulf. From here, we'll head south and west through the remote valleys of the Zagros Mountains, following the Karun as closely as we can.
Currently wearing a pair of trainers with holes in them and wading through a frozen river.
Our river trip is really just an excuse to explore the culture of this part of Iran. I'm just as interested in the social encounters as the landscapes we see. Travelling by foot is pretty slow, but it's by far the best way to meet people along the way.
This is just about one of the most beautiful landscapes I've ever walked through, and I don't say that lightly. This is absolutely stunning everywhere you look. It is just awesome. I'd rather I didn't have this heavy pack, but it's a small price to pay to be out here. I feel very, very lucky to be able to walk this road. In the same way I'd be very unlucky to get eaten by a wolf on it.
It's funny, a lot of people would come to Iran and be afraid of people. And I have absolutely no fear of people whatsoever. I know the Iranians very well, and it doesn't faze me in the slightest. He basically said that people keep saying that there's wild animals on this road, and he was like, yeah, that's right. And I said, so does that mean, is it dangerous for us? And he was like, it's not dangerous if you're just walking in the daytime, but you need to get indoors for the night.
This isn't my first visit to Iran. Hospitality is a really important part of Iranian culture, and when it comes to finding somewhere to sleep, I always seem to end up in the homes of strangers. In preparation for this trip, I've spent the last couple of years studying Farsi. Now I can actually have a conversation instead of just smiling politely over endless glasses of tea.
یعنی آب روان میشه. جاری می شود.
What a privilege, and again, unconditional hospitality.
Our backpacks for this trip are stupidly heavy, mainly because we are carrying inflatable kayaks in them, along with everything else. Now that the Karun has gotten big enough, we're keen to get onto the water and see what Iran looks like from the river itself.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, without the swearing, I'm extremely excited. At our level of skill and our ambition, this is just about right.
The awesome thing about rivers is that you just have no idea what's around the next corner.
Because the river meanders a lot more than the road, we're covering probably about 1.5 times the distance, which is fine. We're not trying to cover distance, we're trying to see this country from another perspective, and this is proving to be a fantastic way of doing that.
Tom's about to run first rapids. This suddenly feels like a terrible idea. Maybe an experienced paddler will look at this and say, that's nothing. But I think for me, and even for Tom as well, this is quite dangerous stuff. And I'm really excited to try it, but my heart is fluttering. So I should just go and do it. These rapids were pretty big, bigger than anything I've done to date in my life. Stakes are high, but so far so good.
Leon's just capsized. We're now in the middle of a gorge with no way out, and he doesn't have a paddle.
What an idiot. This river is terrifyingly fast when you're in it. I managed to get across to the bank and haul myself up, but I lost the paddle in the boat. Now the shock's worn off, I'm starting to think about how the hell we get out of here. I wonder if I can scrabble up one of these banks.
I paddled on downstream while Leon continued on foot. The next 24 hours were a perfect example of the wonderful chaos that ensues when you travel in Iran.
So what happened were, still kind of processing it, but essentially we found a bridge, hiked up to a town. It's actually full of really nice people, including a taxi driver who just took us in instantly, came up with a solution to the paddle problem, called up the guy, we drove up there, the guy brought out this paddle, we bartered a bit, came to a price. Then we went back to this guy's house, had a hugely enjoyable and quite odd night with him and his pals, just sitting around listening to him be completely entertaining. And then him and his pal drove us to where we wanted to start this morning, at a place called Two Bridges, which was just at the other end of the gorge that I capsized in. So the whole thing, it's a bit of a whirlwind, but essentially less than 24 hours after capsizing and losing my paddle, we are back on the river and all is well again.
The old favourite of dry bread and dates molasses. Really quite something. It's only now that I've stopped for lunch that I can really appreciate exactly how epic this place is that we're in.
It's amazing to be back in the boat so quickly, and with any luck, I might even avoid falling out this time. We've been making good, fast progress for a couple of days, but it's pretty clear now that the river is growing wilder and wilder by the minute.
It's going in all directions at once. There's no obvious line to take. There's eddies everywhere, there's recirculations everywhere. very, very, very difficult to pick your way through.
If you're at all interested to know what my comfort level is with paddling, it is slightly below this. And so we're portaging, which requires taking the boats out of the water and walking them up this bouldery, rocky bank.
It's got to the point now where we could carry on, but it's pointless. We're not here to do whitewater rafting, we're here to follow a river, and we're basically going to have to do it on foot from here on. Not because it's impossible to paddle, but because we can't afford to make that kind of slow progress when we've still got such a long way to go.
Looking thoroughly inconspicuous with my new paddle, we abandon the river and continue on foot. The landscape has now changed beyond recognition from our starting point in the snowy mountains, which seems like an age ago.
This is a road among roads, for sure.
The valley is getting less and less remote, and with time fast running out, we really need to find a way of speeding up our journey.
Put our cameras in here.
What's the cheapest paddle bike they have here?
We were just about to buy some bicycles for like 100 2-man, 20 quid.
And then without like seemingly any kind of correlation to anything whatsoever, we met a bloke in a tiny little watch shop who's just offered to give us 2 bikes for our trip, as long as we give them back in the same condition. This guy we just met on the street. I don't even know what his name is. That's why I love this part of the world, because you never know what's going to happen.
Good, perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Walking and pack rafting are slow, tiring ways to travel. Cycling's proving faster, easier, and a lot more fun. Ding ding! Leon's still finding things to whinge about, of course.
It's a beautiful road, but it's just full of tunnels, which are complete death traps, full of trucks, which are death traps. It's full of beautiful scenery, which is awesome. And then full of bridges, which are also death traps. It's 3-1 in the death traps versus awesomeness competition.
I've always loved cycling for the peace and thinking time that it gives me. I once spent nearly 2 years on a bike trip, and these mountain roads remind me of so many others that I've pedalled in my life. We descend down epic switchbacks and out onto the plains. We know that before long we'll hit Shushtar, a city that everyone we've met has told us we must see.
Oh my word!
This is seriously cool.
What do you make of that?
It's incredible.
There's so much Persian history hiding away in these modern, chaotic cities of Iran. This place doesn't turn up in many guidebooks, but for Iranians it's a really important part of their heritage. And now we're here, it's easy to see why.
This final stretch is a race against time to get to the end before our visas run out. We reach the city of Abadan, where the Karun joins the great rivers of the Tigris and the Euphrates, and together all 3 rivers flow out to the Persian Gulf. This area is one of the ancient cradles of human civilization. It's here that our river journey comes to an end, and it feels like a fitting point at which to finish this challenging and fascinating trip. This trip was hard work, and at times it actually felt pretty dangerous. But we made it. Somehow. In so many ways, this was thanks to the warm-hearted nature of Iranians we met along the way.
Thanks for everything, Saeed. A few times we've asked people if there's a local shop around where we can buy some food, and they've said, no, I'm not telling you where the shop is, because you don't need any food, you're in Iran. If you need anything, you just ask someone and they will give it to you. Thank you very much.
Many nights on this journey we were taken in by strangers, or stopped on the roadside by drivers who just wanted to check that we were okay. This is the Iran that I've grown to love, and it's a world away from the typical image of the country. If nothing else, I hope that our journey has shown that there's more to this part of the world than all the endless political squabbling.
It's just out of this world, it's otherworldly.
I know I'll be back here soon to explore another part of Iran, and I'm sure it'll be another brilliant adventure.
What a cool journey, what a cool way to see a country, and just a great excuse for an adventure.